Welcome back to the Who's Right podcast, where we talk about the Mets series and looking forward and looking back to just how the Mets are doing. And man, are they hot! These Mets look good, man. And the Grim Mets are alive and well, only losing 2 games in this Grimace era stretch. This time, beating up on the New York Yankees. We got to love it. We have to be hyped. We got to continue to keep the ball rolling. Man, I feel good, especially when everyone is firing on all cylinders, especially when we get to beat up on a perennial Cy Young caliber pitcher and or what was an AL Rookie of the Year candidate. Man, it feels good to be a Mets fan right now. Doesn't feel so great to be a Yankees fan, but I am happy to be a Mets fan. So we're going to talk about everything that happened in this series. We're going to break it down. But before we get into anything else, don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, so that you never miss a video from us. And as you can see, again, I'm going solo. Franklin comes back tomorrow, not in time to break down the Houston Astros series. So I'm getting this one by myself, and you know I'm happy to do it by myself. I'm happy to be the one man. Parade, just singing praises about these New York Mets because, man, when they play good, there's a whole bunch to talk about. So let's talk about it. Game one, you had Garrett Cole versus David Peterson on the bump, and Garrett Cole got shelled, man, giving up 4 home runs in this one, not striking anybody out. This was a guy that we talked about going into this series as coming back from an injury, just doing his second start from injury, but coming back, we thought that he's going to be the Garrett Cole of old, and obviously he was still spring training Garrett Cole, not having his stuff, not locating, but you can make all the excuses you want. The Mets just kind of steamrolled him. And you could say that he's not doing well because he hasn't pitched all year, but the Mets have done this with every pitcher that they've seen in the past couple of weeks, and so but you had Mark Vientos hitting back-to-back home runs and back-to-back at bats, or back-to-back if you even want to go back to the Cubs series, and just looking phenomenal at the plate. Obviously, he's here to stay. He's not going anywhere. These baby Mets they're fire this lineup up. They deepen it, which is something that the Yankees actually lack. We can talk about how deep this lineup is, but we can attribute all of that to the baby Mets doing what the baby Mets do, and that is produce. And so Mark Vientos had a great game at the plate, and did amazing. We love to see Marky V, Swaggy V, as he likes to be called, doing well, and that's exactly what he did. Brandon Nimmo, continues to stay hot with his another home run in this one. Man, he looks good at the plate, batting in that 2-hole comfortably. And Francisco Lindor, how about Francisco Lindor in that leadoff spot, hitting a double to lead off the game in both of these games. We love to see it. We love Frankie in that 2-hole or in that leadoff spot, and everyone is just firing on all cylinders. Harrison Bader had another great game. He had a great game against his old team. He was concerned, or we kind of figured going into this one that he was going to try to be his best to beat up on his old team, and that's exactly what he did, hitting a home run in each of these games. The defense was there; they covered it. The only thing that scared us at the end there was the pitching, and this is something that I talked about before. The pitching is always going to be a problem, but when you have hitting like this, then it's not something that you have to worry about right now. But it will be interesting to see how the Mets address that at the trade deadline, because I think if you were to address one spot, the bullpen would have to be that. Because obviously, I don't think that we're going to see guys like David Peterson or Tyler McGill or even Shamanaya pitching in these in high leverage spots. They're great depth guys, and that's exactly what they are. They're able to get us innings, and hopefully they're able to get us a little more innings. Um, you know, uh, David Peterson only went 4 1/3 in this one, and so we don't like when he's only pitching at that length. But when you have a game plan to pitch around Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, that's kind of what you're going to get. And so he did well in pitching around those guys. We saw some Houdini magic in both of these games where the bases were loaded, and both guys were able to get people out. It was one of those interesting starts for David Peterson where he had a high pitch count, but he didn't give up more than 1 run in this one, and didn't give up more than 3 hits. Where the problem was where he was walking people. He walked 5 in this game, and that's just something that can't happen. He had a full count in almost every at bat. Even in the at bats that it wasn't to Judge or Soto, he was still throwing balls, and that's going to be an issue for David Peterson. I think I like him better than Tyler McGill. I think he's a better starter, and he's proven to be that in this past couple of games. But when you're not even able to go the length to get the win, then that's going to be an issue. And then it puts more pressure on your bullpen because you have Adam Ottavino coming out and junk time again in garbage time to pitch in a blowout game, and then you don't trust Adam Ottavino Daniel Nunez able to pitch you two solid innings, 2 2/3 solid innings, and that's when Adam Ottavino came in and only recorded 1 run. But when you have to use Daniel Nunez in both of these games, then that's like we said, someone's going to get hurt, and we just don't want Daniel Nunez to be that guy. Daniel Nunez only pitched in one of these games, but still 2 2/3 is not something that I want to see from him. I talked about how I want to see him in high leverage. I want to see him in those late innings. I thought that he was going to be the guy that was going to close out games while Edwin Diaz is out. Obviously, they still want to trust Reed Garrett in that position. And Reed Garrett's an interesting case because he came into this game and he gave up a grand slam to Aaron Judge after the bases were loaded, after Danny Young and Adam Ottavino weren't able to get that. Danny Young would look disappointing in this series, but Reed Garrett ended up giving that grand slam, but then came out in the next inning and got a save, which was ridiculous because he gave up 4 runs, but still recorded a 3-out save, strike, or going 1, 2, 3 in that 9th. So it was good to see that, but it just doesn't feel like Reed Garrett is that guy to pitch in that high leverage spot. I would have rather actually flip-flopped those two if there was any critique that I could have made to have Reed Garrett pitch in length, and then Daniel Nunez kind of close out the game. But the way that it happened, it kind of worked out. And right now we have a great thing where we're able to score enough runs for us to not have a problem. But as we go into game 2, game 1 was an offensive masterclass, and so was game 2. From the start, Francisco Lindor gets a leadoff double. You have Brendan Nimble get a walk, and then you have JD Martinez come up to the plate and disappointingly grounds into a double play. JD Martinez has cooled off a little bit, but that's okay because everyone else has started to heat up. And so JD Martinez grounded into that double play, and you're like, oh, man, we had an opportunity with the leadoff double to get in a run here, and now we're going to blow it. But Tyrone Taylor says, nope, I'm going to still get this guy in, and he hits an RBI single to bat in a run. And that would have been it. That would have been happy enough. I would have been great with that. But, then you have sorry, I'm looking at just trying to catch up. But, then you have Francisco Alvarez, and Francisco Alvarez, man, what a great sight to see when you have your your guy just continue your guy, because this is our guy, just being phenomenal and being able to get you those big hits, and it all started with I think it started with Francisco Alvarez. Without JD Martinez getting that RBI in this game, um, I had that flip flopped where JD Martinez that happened in the previous game, but in this game where JD Martinez got that RBI, then Pete Alonso grounds into a double play. You feel like you're not doing too much here, but then Francisco Alvarez comes and hits that 2-run homer opposite field, and you're feeling electric. This is ridiculous. What Francisco Alvarez is doing right now. He has it tattooed on his chest. I think I tend to agree with that. He is the best. If you're not behind that, then you soon will be, because Francisco Alvarez is just electric to see out there. Not just on the plate, batting, but behind the plate, calling these games. Man, he just has a vibe to him that is unmatched. And he had 2 big hits in this game, and so we love to see it from Francisco Alvarez. But it wasn't just Francisco Alvarez, right? You had everyone producing. Harrison Bader hit another home run. And this is where we had that long rain delay, so maybe they were just kind of done, but the Mets weren't. The Mets continued to pour it on them, and just do what they do. And the Yankees thought they could claw themselves back into it, but when you only have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, there's no way of clawing your way back into these games, because there's only so much that those guys can do. And yes, they drove in runs, but at the end of the day, when everyone else is striking out, grounding out, flying out, then there's nothing that these Yankees can do. And that's exactly what happened here, because you had Aaron Judge the next inning double and drive in a run, but then you have right after Tyrone Taylor get one more back on him, hitting a 3-run shot. And Tyrone Taylor, I know he's getting playing time right now because Starlin Marte is out, but I like him down in right field, because he made a play in this game where you could have said this game is over. Let's just wrap it up. Let's just let these balls drop. But that's not what Tyrone Taylor said. He played hard every play. There was a play in that 8th inning where he catches a fly ball, hustles to it, and then throws a rocket back into home plate so that the Yankees wouldn't score there. And we're up, 12-2. And so we just love to see the hustle, the hard work from Tyrone Taylor. And when he's producing at the plate, man, I just hope that this is here to stay. Obviously, we called up Ben Gamble, and he got an appearance in this game, but more of as a defensive replacement once the game was already out of hand. I'm not sure how much we'll see him, but if Tyrone Taylor can continue to do what he's doing behind or at the plate and in the field, then this is I think that he should stay there. And Harrison Bader as well. If they're both able to produce the way that they produced in these past couple of games, keep the lineup the way it is. Brandon Nimmo left, Harrison Bader center, Tyrone Taylor in right. No matter the matchups, because those guys have proven that whatever their splits are, they're going to be batting the same. And so we love to see it. I didn't even talk about the pitching yet. I got so caught up with the hitting that I didn't even talk about the pitching. But you had Sean Manaea pitching this one. I thought he pitched great. Honestly, I thought he had a control of it. There's always a question when you go through the third time through the lineup how you'll do, and Sean Manaea hasn't fared well. He didn't get the chance in this one because there was a rain delay, and who knows if Carlos Mendoza would have rolled him back out there. But he was able to give us 5 strong innings, and that's what we asked for from these back end guys: is 5 strong innings of them just grinding it out, And he pulled some Houdini magic in this one too, because he got himself into some trouble. We talked about the bases being loaded in this one, but him being able to work himself out. He had 3 or 4 uh, double plays that got him out of jams, which doesn't happen often. But when you're playing the Yankees and they don't have the depth that you need, then it might happen more often than you think. But Sean Manaea only pitched 77 pitches or something like that, and so we love to see Sean Manaea bumping up his stock, doing what he does, getting those outs when he needs them, and um, you know let's just hope that each and every start is like this, because these pitchers have been so volatile in these games. And as we wrap up talking about this start, I'll tell you one person that hasn't been volatile since he's changed to his new role, and that's Adrian Hauser. Wow, I didn't think that I would be giving him so much praise, but to save our bullpen like that, to be able to go in these games and just grind out the rest of the game, pitching 3 innings and finishing off the game. It's funny that he was able to get a save in this one because of how early he pitched, but that's just how it worked, And so he was able to get the save, pitch 3 innings of scoreless ball and 2-hit ball at that, only walking 3. Obviously that's not great, but when you're doing it at a rate where you're able to save the rest of the bullpen, there's still complaints from me. Continue to do what you're doing, Adrian Hauser, and I'll love you in that position, especially when we have guys not able to pitch for length, like we have had these past couple of weeks. And so going back to our other pitchers in this one, you had Danny Young pitch in this one where, I think he gave up a home run to Aaron Judge. And you could have talked about the game plan pitching around these guys, and maybe they only pitched them because the game was so out of hand. But, man, given Aaron Judge his 30th home run, he just killed the Mets this series, just to say the least. Aaron Judge is a killer. He might be the best player in baseball. I could say that he's better than Shohei Ohtani, and it stinks to say that he's playing for the Yankees, but Aaron Judge is just a phenomenal player, and it's really cool to see him play anytime you get a chance. It just sucks when you see him do it against your favorite team. And so Aaron Judge had a good series, but Danny Young, since being called back up from the minor leagues, has not had the great run that he had before he got sent down. And so let's hope that he can continue to get that groove back into it, because we have guys like Drew Smith and Sean Foley out, then you really need these other guys to step up. And Adam Ottavino is one of those guys that needs to step up. He pitched back-to-back days here. He was able to pitch in this one and get out of trouble and get Danny Young out of trouble. But I don't know how long Adam Ottavino has on this team, because he didn't look great the night before. He still didn't look terrific in this one. If he's one of those guys that is just going to get us through those garbage outings, then that'd be fine. But those can't last forever. But as we go into our next segment, I'll just shout out our star players and just go with the baby Mets plus Harrison Bader, because they all had great series. Mark Vientos hitting 2 home runs in the first game, Francisco Alvarez driving in 3 in the second, and Harrison Bader hitting 2 home runs in both games. You pick your poison. Let me know who you like, and I'll probably agree with you. It's hard to choose a star in this one when everyone is hitting. But as I move on to talk about our concerns in this series, it has to be none other than the bullpen and the pitching. We knew that this was going to be a problem with Edwin Diaz out. We knew that we didn't have the depth, but when you don't have Drew Smith and you don't have Sean Foley, it just it emphasizes it even more. So that's going to continue to be a problem. let's just hope that we can get through this stretch because it's not going to be just Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz probably wouldn't have even seen the game in this one if it wasn't for if it wasn't for Reed Garrett. Um, he probably wouldn't have been even pitching in these games. So we can't even say it's because of Edwin Diaz being out, but more just these other guys not really cutting it, and that goes for Reed Garrett too. Because I don't care how big the lead is. If you give a grand slam up, then that's not a good look, you know. And so you know, that's going to be continue to be a struggle. I'd love to see Reed Garrett just to be coming on, and it could be the seventh or eighth inning, but there can't be guys on base. He's proven that he cannot inherit runners well, and that's just going to have to be the end of it. You know, we can't see this happen. We know the role that Reed Garrett's going to play, and it's not going to be in these inherited runner spots. Give that spot to Daniel Nunez because you know he has that ability to get those runners out or get out of jams like that. He doesn't walk many people. He doesn't. His whip is I think at a 1 or under a 1, and so he's proven to have that ability to get those runners out. And so I it's so hard when your bullpen is so thin to criticize it so much. But that's my only critique is trying to figure out what the construction of this bullpen is, because at the end of the day, we're gonna need a good bullpen during the stretch. Luckily, our offense has kept us afloat, but our offense can't keep us afloat for long. And the key to winning ball games sometimes is our bullpen. And so I hope that this issue can be addressed and that we're able to see our guys get back into a rhythm of things. I remember a time where in this season where we had one of the best bullpens, one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, and that's quickly kind of fallen off with how many runs we've given up in these past couple of games. But that's enough of me talking about my concerns, because the Mets are rolling, man, and I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer. Obviously, I had my gripes, and because I'm a Mets fan, I'm always going to find something to complain about. But that's going to be it. I want to be Mr. Positive. I want to talk about how good this team is doing, and I want this train to keep on rolling. And as we go into this next series, talking about the Astros versus the Mets, these are both teams that are the hottest teams in baseball. They're both rolling right now. Both have clawed their way back to 500. Both are playing fantastic baseball right now. I think the Astros are on a 7-game winning streak. The Mets, just like them, are just as hot. And it's going to be a tough series. Their bats have gotten hot. Their pitching is doing phenomenally to keep these guys in games. And so this is going to be, I think, out of the past few teams that we've seen, this might be the hardest test yet with just how the Houston Astros are playing. I don't care if you say the Padres are right there. I don't care if you say that the Nationals were rolling. I don't know about the Cubs, because they seem to not have been doing so hot, and they haven't done so well since then. And the Yankees, although the best team in baseball, were on a downward spiral. The Astros are going up, and they're trending in that direction. And it's going to be a tough series for them to really get through this stretch, because as we've talked about before, our pitching matchups aren't great. We have Jose Quintana, Tyler McGill, and Luis Severino pitching in these games, and they have Ronel Blanco, who is a stud, Framber Valdez, and they haven't announced their third starter, but we'll see what they do. But I think it's going to I can't remember the name of that guy that they were pitching for, but he's pretty good. He's let's see. I think his name is. Just 1 second. This is a great show. Just me talking. But Taylor Scott is his name. Taylor Scott has pitched really well. He's got a 1.63 ERA. He's 3-2 on the season, and he's got a whip of 1. And so it's going to be a tough matchup for us to be able to go out there and 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 do what we've been doing in these past couple of um, games, and that's just beating up on good pitching, because each and every one of these games we're going to see great pitching, and and let's just hope that we can get to them early. Francisco Lindor has proven to be able to do that in these series, and so I think that he'll be able to do that again. These Mets are rolling. OMG comes out on Friday, so they're going to be hot. They're going to be the vibes are going to be riding high. So, and we're playing at home. We're playing at Citi Field, where the vibes are going crazy right now. And so let's hope that they can keep it rolling against the hot Houston Astros team. But as I talk about those stars, I talked about Francisco Lindor, and we talked about the baby Mets, and we talked about Harrison Bader. All these guys have potential to do great things, and Franklin's not here to talk again about the Met stars and the Who's Right portion of this podcast. So again, I'll just tell you who to look out for, and who I think is going to break out in these series. And so we have a tough lineup where we're facing good pitching, but who has been doing just as well against good pitching? Francisco Lindor. And so I think that he breaks out in this series, that he has a great series against these Astros. It's going to be up to these guys. I know that we love to talk about these baby Mets, but we don't want to rely on them this whole time. And Francisco Lindor is our other captain, and I think that he's a captain that's going to do well in this series. And Brandon Nimmo is another one of those guys that have been hitting well. When your 1 and 2 are hot, then there's very little that the other team can do to stop you, because they get the most at bats and they set the tempo for the rest of the game. And so those are two guys that I would look out for in this game. Obviously you have Harrison Bader, who's familiar with the Astros from his time with the Yankees, and you can always look for those baby Mets. Those baby Mets are always going to do well, and let's hope that they continue to roll. Those are the two guys that I think are going to stand out. The Mets killers really are going to be their big boppers, I think, because you have Quintana and McGill on the bump. Severino, I think, is going to have a good start, and he might be my star pitcher, but McGill and Quintana, I think, can give up the long ball. And I think they have that potential to do that. And so, you have guys like Jose Altuve, who has beat up on the Mets, and it's been frustrating to see him beat up on the Mets in years past. And he's rolling really hard. And so I think that he has a good series. But Yordan Alvarez, he's just a stud of a player. At 27 years old, he's got a big future ahead of him, and I think that he continues to play well. The one thing that the Mets have going in their favor is that they might not see Kyle Tucker. I think he's still injured, but he's one of the core members of their team. Absolutely electric player, young player, and I'm just glad that he's not going to be playing here. But these guys, those two guys are guys to look out for. Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez, for them to be big boppers in this one. And so, I already talked about who I thought was going to stand out from the starting pitching side. Obviously, we can go with Severino each and every time. But I think that we might have close games. And I'm not talking about 0-1 games or 1-2 games. I'm talking about 6-7 or 9-11 games. And if we get to that spot, then we need someone to close out these games. And like I've talked about, in the last episode, like I've said, I want to see the Mets do. I want to see them put Daniel Nunez in one of these spots, because he's proven to be able to pitch in these high leverage spots. And when you have guys like Drew Smith and Sean Reed-Foley out, then you're gonna need a guy like Daniel Nunez to step up in these spots. And so let's hope that they give them that opportunity. I don't know if they will. They'll probably go with Reed Garrett or Jake Diekman, or I hope that they don't go with Adam Ottavino. But they might go with one of those guys instead. But I'd love to see Daniel Nunez get an opportunity for a save in this one. And even, he got his first win last time. He got another win this time, and so let's. I think that he continues to pitch well. He got a rest day, and two rest days, so he'll be ready to go by Friday. But let's just continue to see them roll. So that's the series. Let's hope that the Mets keep on rolling. I hope that that they can keep it going. I have full faith in them. These Grim Mets are having so much fun. They're going to have fun on Friday. It's going to be electric at the stadium. If you can get out there, I'm sure the vibes, like I've talked about all episode, are going to go crazy in that stadium. With OMG being released, that's probably going to be bumping on the sound system the whole time. We had a grimace at this last game, so expect more grimaces to come through, and the 7 line is just going to go crazy. And so, as we wrap up this one, a few quick notes. Sean Reed Foley is obviously out with a shoulder injury. Who knows when he's going to return? I think it'll be a couple of weeks until we see him again. Drew Smith just went out with an elbow sprain, and that can be very tricky because those elbows are so hard to heal, and it just stinks that this whole thing just snowballed from Edwin Diaz getting thrown out the other day. Who knows where Drew Smith is? Maybe he still has that elbow sprain, but maybe he doesn't, and it's just frustrating that these are the repercussions of just how the MLB has handled these things recently, and so those guys are both out. We're going into a stretch here where we're going to play a lot of baseball, and so it's going to be a tough stretch. Let's hope that these Mets can get length from their starters, so that they're not feeling it from these guys. But Brett Baty continues to stay hot. He's hit 2 home runs in his last game in Syracuse. I think 4 or 5 home runs this week alone, which is crazy. He continues to stay hot. Let's hope. I hope that he gets an opportunity to come up. I thought that he was going to come up with Starling Marte going down. I thought they were going to try to bring him up, put him at second base, move McNeil to left. But that's obviously not the move that they went with. They called up Ben Gamble instead. Gamble has had that major league experience. He's done well in the major leagues, and he has a great glove out there, and is able to give you those splits that are favorable for the time being. But these are all guys that are doing well in their respective leagues. Luis Angel Acuna is continuing to stay hot, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with these players, because these Mets are going to be buyers. I'm going to call it now. They're obviously going to sell some pieces, and it'll be interesting to see what pieces they sell. Brett Baty might be in that mix now, with the way that Mark Fiantos has played. But they're going to be buyers. What they buy and who they buy with is going to be the question. But that's for a later time. We still have a long ways to go until the trade deadline. So I'm going to leave it there. Before we get out of here, let me know what you think. Did I say anything crazy in this episode? Are the Mets going to be buyers or sellers? Are they going to whip on these Astros? Or is this run going to continue? Let me know what you think. I'm fired up. I can't wait to see these Mets play on Friday Night Baseball. Fortunately, we can't hear Gary Kittenbranca is going to be on Apple TV, but nonetheless, it's going to be electric baseball, and we can't wait for it. And so, until next time, I'll talk to you guys Sunday. Let's go Mets.